Okay, so this is the Daf for May 15th, 2025. We're in Daf 14 of Shevuot. But I want to say, so this day is the 32nd day of the Omer. So 32 is Gematria Lave, like heart. And the remaining days of the 49 is Tov. So this is the day we're supposed to reflect on having a good heart. Tov and Lave, right? So, and I made a mistake the other day. Yes, in the last Daf Yomi video, I said correctly that Shimon Yochai is 501, and Nachman Simcha, like Rabbi Nachman, is 501. I said Eish Gadol is 501. That was a mistake. I had to edit that out. What I meant to say was Eish Gadol is 344, and Pardes, the 4 levels of Torah elucidation, is 344. Because I wanted to, I wanted to connect the idea that just like the Romans cut us down, so there was a bottleneck in Torah, just like you light a fire with a little tiny light and it becomes this big bonfire. So, you have that great, the Torah is also a great light, and it also can consume your life, just like a fire just wants to eat everything in its path. Once your soul catches fire, you just want to consume everything that's in your path, anything you just feel like you just don't have enough time to study enough. Like, I pray that you guys all get that drive, but you completely forget about everything else that's in the world, beautiful cars and, all kinds of crazy stuff and video games and sports and doing all sorts of frivolous things in life. And your soul just catches on fire and it wants to consume Torah and do mitzvot. So, that's something you should reflect on for Lag BaOmer, but so keep those things in mind. Actually, if you want to see almost like maybe like a weekly Gematria little video or shiur or something like that, let me know, because that's something that interests me in extreme amount. It's something that I just I like the numbers. To tell you the truth, I was not able to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the order of the Hebrew alphabet, until I connected the letters to their numeric values, and then it was like cake. So if you're someone out there who struggles to learn the order of the Hebrew alphabet, maybe that's something you should try, is to learn the numeric value of the numbers, and then it just might be cake from there on out. But let's see. So we're in Daf 14. Was there something else I was going to say? Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, and there's been a few people that have asked me to do, to talk on a few things particular that they want to learn or something in their life. And I'm like, I'll do anything I can to help you out. So if you want to email me, the email is in the description of every video. You can email, and I'll try and get back with you. I'm not great on keeping up with emails, but anyway, let's get started. I'm going to try and do a couple of these tonight because, tomorrow night it's not going to happen. Okay. So I'll back up to the end of 13. It says, Abai said, you may even say that the Baraita is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, and this is what it is saying. If that is so, that the priests do not achieve atonement through the bowl of Aaron, then they do not have any means through which to achieve atonement for the defilement of the temple or sacrificial foods. When the verse states, and he shall effect atonement upon the priest, we have clearly found that they do have a means of atonement for other transgressions. And it follows that just as we have found that they have a means of atonement for other transgressions, as Israelites do, so too they must also have a means of atonement. Now I'm in 14. For their defilement of the temple or its sacrificial foods. Through which means then, do they achieve atonement for this? Is it through the internal goat or the bull of Aaron? It is better to say that they achieve atonement through the bull of Aaron, as in any event with regard to his household, an exception was made to its rule that it atones only for Aaron. And one should not say that they achieve atonement through the goat whose blood presentation is performed inside the sanctuary, as it is not found that with regard to Aaron's household, an exception was made to its rule. And if it is your wish to say that this reasoning can be refuted, one can bring another proof, as it states, "House of Aaron, bless the Lord," which is referring to all priests and not just to Aaron's immediate household, and so it is reasonable that Aaron's bull should atone for them. The Gemara clarifies the last part of the Braita and what possible refutation is the Braita referring to when it says, if it is your wish to say that this reasoning can be refuted. The Gemara explains, and if you would say of the preceding proof that it is incorrect to suggest that all priests achieve atonement from the bull of Aaron, as with regard to it, the term his household, Leviticus 16 verse 6, is written, which suggests that it atones only for his immediate family, then this can be refuted, as all the priests are collectively referred to as his household, as is evident from that which is stated, "House of Aaron, bless the Lord. House of Levi, bless the Lord. Those who fear the Lord, bless the Lord." The Gemara questions some of the expositions of the Braita, and with regard to this phrase, "go to the people," Leviticus 16:15, does it come to teach that which the Braita teaches? That is, that the priests do not achieve atonement through it. But that phrase is necessary to teach that the merciful one states that the goat must be purchased with funds collected from the people. The Gemara refutes this. That requirement is derived from the verse, "And from the assembly of the children of Israel he shall take 2 goats." The Gemara asks further, with regard to this phrase, quote, his own bull sin offering, Leviticus 16 verse 6, does it come to teach that which the Braita teaches, that is, that it atones only for Aaron's transgressions, not for the transgressions of others? But that phrase is necessary for that which is taught in Braita. The high priest brings or purchases the bull from his own funds, but he does not bring it from funds collected from the public. One might have thought that he does not bring it from funds collected from the public because the public does not achieve atonement through it, but he may bring it from funds belonging to his brethren, the priest, because his brethren, the priest, achieve atonement through it. To counter this, the verse states, quote, his own bull sin offering, to indicate that he must purchase it using only his own funds. One might have thought that he should not bring it from the funds, from others' funds, but nevertheless, if he did it, would be still valid. To counter this, the verse again states his own, quote, his own. The verse repeats the phrase to render the requirement essential. If both mentions of the phrase his own are necessary to teach about the ownership of the bull, how can the above Baraita suggest that the phrase indicates that the bull atones only for the high priest transgressions? The Gemara explains, this is what is difficult for the Tana of the Baraita. What is different about the goat of the people that explains why it does not atone for the priest? The difference is that the priest did not forfeit any money over the purchase of it. Therefore, it does not atone for the priest, but only for the Israelites, as it is written with regard to the internal goat of the people with regard to the bull of Aaron as well. The priests do not forfeit any money over the purchase of it, so it follows that they should not achieve atonement through it. And therefore, to explain why they do achieve atonement, the Baraita states that all the priests are collectively referred to as his household. The Gemara returns to its discussion of the dispute between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. The Gemara asks, granted, according to Rabbi Shimon, who holds that the priests do not achieve atonement through the scapegoat, that is why it is written in the Torah that 2 confessions are to be recited over the bull, and that the blood of the bull is to be presented inside the sanctuary. Of these 3 forms of atonement, one corresponds to the atonement provided by the goat, whose blood presentation is performed inside the sanctuary. One corresponds to the atonement provided by the goat, whose blood presentation is performed outside the sanctuary, and one corresponds to the atonement provided by the scapegoat. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that the priests do achieve atonement through the scapegoat, why do I need the 2 confessions recited over the bull and over the bull and the blood of the bull to be presented inside the sanctuary? One confession over the bull and its blood being presented inside the sanctuary would be sufficient. The Gemara answers, 2 confessions are necessary, one for the high priest himself and one for his household. The priest, as the school of Rabbi Yishmael taught, the high priest must first confess his own transgressions and only afterward those of the priest, because that is how the attributive justice functions. It is better that the innocent come and atone for the guilty than that the guilty come and atone for the then that the guilty come and atone for the guilty. When the high priest confesses the transgressions of those in his house, it is better that he already be considered innocent, having confessed and been absolved of his own transgressions. Hadra Nalach Shavuot Shataim. So that's the end of Parak 1, or the first Parak Aleph. Let's see. So Mishnah, Parak Beit, starts out. With regard to cases of awareness of the defiling of the temple by entering it while one is ritually impure, defiling its sacrificial foods by partaking of them while one is ritually impure, there are two types that are actually for. How so? If one became ritually impure and he was aware that he was impure, but afterward his impurity was hidden from him, though he remembered that he was partaking of sacrificial food, which is forbidden to one who is in a state of ritual impurity, this is one of the four types of awareness of impurity. If the fact that he was partaking of sacrificial food was hidden from him, though he remembered the ritual impurity that he had contracted, this is the second of the four types of awareness of impurity. And the same halacha applies if both this and that were hidden from him, both the fact that he was impure and the fact that he was partaking of sacrificial food. In all of these cases, if he partook of the sacrificial food and was unaware either that he was impure or that the food was sacrificial food, or both, and after he partook of it, he became aware of that which he had forgotten, he is required to bring a sliding scale offering. In this type of offering, the sinner sacrifices an animal, bird, or meal offering dependent on his financial status. And I want to point out, because I've mentioned this to people before, the grain part, the very lowest grain part of that offering is the minimum amount, basically the amount of food that a person would eat in a day. So, and you can check that out by not only observing the verses that talk about the sliding scale offering, but you would cross-reference that to Exodus, I believe it's chapter 16, where it's talking about the manna. At the very end of the chapter, it gives the quantity, and it basically corresponds to what the Israelites were receiving as a daily portion of food. So, basically giving up his food for the day would be the minimum offering that a person would give if they were very poor. Okay, continuing. And similarly, with regard to entering the temple, if one became ritually impure and he was aware, and that goes against, the Christian claim is that Jews don't have any means of atonement, that, like without blood, but we do have atonement without blood, and the sliding scale offering completely demonstrates that, because you don't need blood for what do you want to call it, a meal offering. So, anyway, and similarly, with regard to entering the temple, if one became ritually impure and he was aware that he was impure, but afterward his impurity was hidden from him, though he remembered that he was entering the temple, which is prohibited for one who is in a state of ritual impurity, this is the third of the four types of awareness of impurity. If the fact that he was entering the temple was hidden from him, though he remembered the ritual impurity that he had contracted, this is the fourth type of awareness of impurity. And the same halacha applies if both this and that were hidden from him, both the fact that he was impure and the fact that he was entering the temple. In all these cases, if he entered the temple and was unaware either that he was impure or that he was entering the temple, or both, and afterward he left and became aware of what was hidden from him, he is required to bring a sliding scale offering. Okay, and for the boundaries of the temple, with regard to the halachot of impurity, the same halacha applies to one who enters the area that was part of the original temple courtyard, and to one who enters the latter addition to the temple courtyard, because the additional section is sanctified with the full sanctity of the temple courtyard. The Mishnah notes, as additions can be made to the city of Jerusalem or to the temple courtyards only by a special body comprising the king, a prophet, and the Urim and Thummim, and the Sanhedrin of 71 judges, and with 2 thanks offerings, and with a special song. That is the formula. Once the addition to the courtyard is made by this body, in this process, it is given the full sanctity of the original courtyard area. And this is why there's an oral tradition, because who would have came up with that list? Really? And then a song. But anyway, the Mishnah provides certain details of the consecration ceremony, and the court would move forward, and 2 thanks offerings would be brought after them, and all the Jewish people would follow behind them. Hold on a second. When they would reach the end of the place that they desired to consecrate, the inner thanks offering would be eaten and the outer one would be burned. The details of this ceremony will be described in the Gemara. And with regard to any addition to the temple that was not made with all these ceremonial procedures, one who enters there while ritually impure is not liable to bring an offering if his entry was unwitting, nor to be punished with karet, excision from the world to come, if his entry was intentional. The first part of this Mishnah discussed one who became ritually impure before entering the temple. The Mishnah proceeds to consider a case involving one who was ritually pure when he entered the temple, but who became impure while in the temple courtyard. And afterward, his impurity was hidden from him, but he remembered that he was standing in the temple, or the fact that he was standing in the temple was hidden from him, but he remembered his impurity, or both this fact and the fact that in that fact were hidden from him. In all these cases, if he bowed down, or he tarried in the temple courtyard long enough to bow down even though he did not actually bow, or he went out by way of a longer route when he could have taken a shorter route, he is liable to bring a sliding scale offering. But if he left the temple via the shortest way, he is exempt. This mitzvah, that the ritually impure must be sent out of the temple, is the positive mitzvah concerning the temple, for which it is taught elsewhere in the Mishnah, Harayot 8b, the Sanhedrin is not liable to bring an offering for an erroneous ruling. The communal bull sin offering is brought because of the unwitting transgression of a prohibition involving an action by the Jewish people resulting from an erroneous halakhic decision handed down by the Sanhedrin. But the Sanhedrin mistakenly ruled that one who became impure while in the temple may leave by way of a longer route. They do not bring this offering, as it is brought only for an erroneous ruling on a matter that requires the bringing of a fixed sin offering and not by a sliding scale offering for its unwitting violation. And which is the positive mitzvah with regard to a menstruating woman, for which, as it is taught in Harayot there, the Sanhedrin is liable to bring a bull offering for an erroneous ruling? If a man was engaging in intercourse with a ritually pure woman, and during the course of their act of intercourse she experienced bleeding, and said to him, "I have become impure," and unwittingly he immediately withdrew from her and did not wait, he is liable to bring a sin offering for engaging in intercourse with a menstruating woman, because his withdrawal from her is as pleasant to him as his entry. And if the Sanhedrin mistakenly ruled that one may withdraw immediately, they bring a bull offering for their erroneous ruling. Rabbi Eliezer says, with regard to the sliding scale offering, the verse states, quote, "Or if a person touches any impure thing, whether it is the carcass of a non-kosher, undomesticated animal, or the carcass of a non-kosher, domesticated animal, or the carcass of a non-kosher, creeping animal, and it is hidden from him," Leviticus 5:2. A precise reading of this verse indicates that in a case where one has a lapse of awareness that he had contracted ritual impurity by touching a creeping animal, he is liable to bring a sliding scale offering for having defiled the temple or the sacrificial food. But he is not liable to bring such an offering in a case where he has a lapse of awareness that he is entering the temple or partaking of sacrificial food. Similarly, Rabbi Akiva says the verse states, "And it is hidden from him so that he is impure," Leviticus 5:2, thereby teaching that in a case where one has a lapse of awareness that he had contracted ritual impurity, he is liable to bring a sliding scale offering, but one is not liable to bring such an offering in a case where he has a lapse of awareness that he is entering the temple or partaking of sacrificial food. Rabbi Yishmael says the verse states, "And it is hidden from him," Leviticus 5:2, it states, quote, "And it is hidden from him," Leviticus 5:3, twice, in order to render one liable to bring a sliding scale offering both in a case where one has a lapse of awareness that he had contracted ritual impurity, and in a case where one had a lapse of awareness that he is entering the temple. So now it's back to the Gemara. The Gemara says, the Mishnah teaches that the halachot concerning awareness of ritual impurity are two that are further subdivided into four. So Rav Papa said to Abaye, are these actually two states of awareness that are subdivided into four? As the Mishnah lists them, they seem to be two that are subdivided into six. Awareness of the impurity at the beginning and at the end. Awareness of the sacrificial food at the beginning and at the end. Awareness of the temple at the beginning and at the end. Abaye answered him, according to your reasoning, that you count all the various cases listed in the Mishnah, there are 8 states of awareness, as there is also awareness of the impurity in connection with eating the sacrificial food at the beginning and at the end, and awareness of the impurity in connection with entering the temple and at the beginning and at the end. The Mishnah mentions awareness of the impurity both in the first clause, which discusses partaking of sacrificial food, and in the second clause, which discusses entering the temple. So Rav Papa refutes this. This is not difficult, as the status of ritual impurity carries one name in both cases. The person was aware that he had contracted ritual impurity, and then it became hidden from him, and there's no reason to distinguish between impurity in connection with partaking of sacrificial food and impurity in connection with entering the temple. So accordingly, Rav Papa's first question remains. In any case, there are 6 states of awareness. So Rav Papa said in answer to his own question, actually there are 8 states of awareness, 2 of the impurity in connection with partaking of sacrificial food, 2 of the impurity in connection with entering the temple, 2 of awareness of the sacrificial food, and 2 of awareness of the temple, each pair having 1 awareness at the beginning and 1 at the end. But the first 4 states of awareness at the beginning do not in themselves bring unwitting transgressor to liability to bring an offering. As if he does not reach awareness at the end, he will not have known that. So he will not have known that he transgressed. Therefore, the Tana does not count them, but the Tana does count the last 4 states of awareness, which bring the unwitting transgressor to the liability to bring an offering. Okay, and there are those who say that Rav Papa said as follows. Actually, there are 8 states of awareness, and it is the first 4 states of awareness at the beginning, which are not found in the entire Torah, that the Tana counts. In all other instances where one is liable to bring an offering for an unwitting transgression, it is not necessary that there be any awareness at the beginning. Since this is a novel requirement, the Tana counts these states of awareness, but the Tana does not count the last 4 states of awareness at the end, which are found also in the entire Torah, as a standard sin offering is brought when one is made aware after the fact that he transgressed. It says, the Amoraim try to define the awareness of the impurity mentioned in the Mishnah. So the Amoraim, the rabbis in the Gemara. So Rav Papa raises a dilemma. If the halachot of impurity became hidden from him, what is the halacha? Is he liable to bring a sliding scale offering in such a situation? The Gemara asks, what are the circumstances of the case under discussion? If we say that he did not know whether a creeping animal is impure or pure, or whether a frog is impure or pure, this is a topic that you could go learn in a children's school. As these matters are explicitly recorded in the Torah, they can never be considered hidden. Actually, Rav Papa must have been asking about a case where he knew the essential halacha with regard to the ritual impurity of a creeping animal, and it is a case where he touched a portion of the animal that was of a lentil bulk, and he did not know the halacha concerning whether a portion that was of a lentil bulk renders a person impure or does not render impure. What is the halacha in such a case? The Gemara explains the 2 possibilities. Does one say that since he knows generally that a creeping animal renders a person impure, it is awareness? Or perhaps one says that since he does not know whether a portion that was of a lentil bulk renders a person impure or does not render a person impure, it is considered hidden from him. The Gemara comments, dilemma shall stand unresolved. Rabbi Yirmiyah raises a dilemma concerning the awareness of the temple. If a Babylonian or a resident of another country ascended to Eretz Yisrael, and the side of the temple was hidden from him, so that he unwittingly entered into the temple in a state of ritual impurity, what is the halacha? Is he liable to bring a sliding scale offering to atone for his offense, or not? The Gemara clarifies, in accordance with whose opinion was this dilemma raised? It is, if it was raised in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, who requires that there be awareness at the beginning in order for one to become liable to bring an offering, that is difficult, as Rabbi Akiva does not deem one liable when he had a lapse of awareness that he was entering the temple. And if the dilemma was raised in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Ishmael, who deems one liable when he had a lapse of awareness that he was entering the temple, this is difficult, as Rabbi Ishmael does not require that there be awareness at the beginning. According to both Tanaim, the dilemma is not relevant. The Gemara explains, no, it is necessary to raise the dilemma only in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. who requires awareness at the beginning and also deems one liable when he had a lapse of awareness that he was entering the temple. And he also says that awareness that one gains in the house of his teacher is called awareness. See 5a. What is the halacha in such a case? The Gemara explains the two possibilities. Does one say that since he knows that there is a temple someplace in the world, it is awareness? Or perhaps one says that since he does not know the precise location of the temple, it is considered hidden from him. The Gemara comments, this dilemma shall stand unresolved. The Mishnah teaches the same halacha applies to one who enters the area that was part of the original temple courtyard and to one who enters the latter addition to the temple courtyard, as additions can be made to the city of Jerusalem or to the temple courtyards only by a special body comprising the king, a prophet, the Urim and Thummim, and the Sanhedrin of 71 judges, and with 2 thanks offerings and with a special song. The Gemara asks, from where is this matter derived? Rav Shimi bar Chia said, as the verse states, according to all that I show you, the form of the tabernacle and the form of all its vessels, and so shall you do. That's Exodus 25, verse 9. So that is the end of Daf 14. Thanks for watching.